What's up, world? Welcome to a new episode of the BrandonJaneauShow. As you know, I am Brandon Janeau, and like always, on all podcast platforms, BrandonJaneauShow. Like always, YouTube channel, BrandonJaneauShow, and social media platforms, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, Facebook, BrandonJaneauShow. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Tuesday marks my podcast, BrandonJaneauShow, 4-year anniversary. It's been 4 years since I decided to download an app and hit the record button and start talking. Um, yeah, I started this podcast September 19th, 2019. I've done anniversary shows, but um, I've been looking back at some of my old stuff that I still have in my phone. Some of my old episodes I've done in my early in my career, early in my podcast life, early in my podcast career, and looking at all these shows, man, that I've created, um, either be the top 10 list with my family in this podcast world to um Underdog to Success podcast interview editions to um you know more recently with Life and Times of Music or point of view of random shit which I created on Instagram, and now I've been just doing it on my podcast more and more. Now bleed, black and gold, purple and gold, I bleed sports, something new, wrestling life, and all these other things, man, all these other avenues of podcasting, and just one thing comes from one thing, and that even like I posted today, excuse me, because I have an old episode of me and my brother Art say dark therapy sessions. I have an old episode of that in my phone, and I actually was like, whoa, what the fuck? I actually recorded one of those shows because he usually would do it on his, and watching that, and I took a clip from that today and posted it on social media on my YouTube, on my Instagram page, BrandonJaneauShow, and it's opened up so many avenues. Doing my sports show, I got my own sports show, but then I got my other sports show with my brother Juan that we've been doing for damn near 2 years, 3 years now. Close to 3 years. No, close to 2 years that we've been doing Jack's Wild. Um, it's crazy because all this comes from just that one night where I downloaded the app and I just started speaking into it. I literally think my first episode was like maybe 11 minutes. I didn't spin on there a lot. I just told you what I wanted to do about this and break it down. And I've done so many of these anniversary shows. I've said it enough. Like I broke down what I wanted to break down. I was like, this podcast can be about sports and music, and you know what I'm saying? And at that time, that's what I thought it would be. And then it transformed into something completely different, of course. And what I've learned in the last 4 years about me as a podcaster is just like there's peaks, there's ups and downs, man. There's peaks and valleys, man, through all of this shit. I when I first started my first year, I didn't think anybody was listening. And I'm not gonna lie, I got you know depressed and thought that like it didn't matter, and you know um, I should stop. Um, and it clearly, in by the end of the first year, that's when I actually um, like that was pandemic time. And so I got around, and that's when I started like to. That's when my guy, to the day I stopped doing this. Wherever I go far in my career, man, my guy Pat, podcastagram. He saw something I had posted or heard or episode I had did, and he loved it. And just like you talk about um, mental health on your podcast. I'm like, I talked about mental health. I was just having a day where I was depressed. I was just depressed, and I finally was just like, yo, I'm not in it. I don't feel right about my life. I'm not happy. I'm anxiety. Either I have depression or I have anxiety. Or I have both, and that's why I was just being honest and just speaking on what I was at that time in my life. And it's funny how that goes. At the darkest times, that's when you find a light. So Pat, put me on Instagram Live, and he had some people on there, and they started following me. The first people that ever started following me was Good Times with Bad Movies. Shout out to you guys. They're in, I think, Toronto. Good Times with Bad Movies, and my sister Ashley from Flow Life, and they started following me, and they started giving me tools, and you know, kind of like how to really start doing podcasts, and really take into consideration of what you need to do to be a good podcaster, and all these things, man. And they told me I had a different perspective and all these things. And by the end of that first year, that's when I started to really get around a lot of people. The first person after Pat that really put me on Instagram Live was Delp from you know my guy Delp, and he was the first one to put me on Instagram Live. He put me on like a panel with my brother EJ, the DJ, uh, and my brother Franklin Francisco. Like it was funny, like because now those days we still communicating stuff, and it's kind of crazy to sit here and say that that's you know a year into this shit. I didn't know if this was gonna last, and it's lasted past that, and then that went on, and then I started getting around. I started working with other people, and um, you know, and that's when I got one of my other mentors, um, Jeremy, and all these podcasts that came into this and started working with me, and then of course by the second year of this podcast, man, I was doing so much shit. I was doing so much shit in this podcast world. That's when I started working with um that's when I started working with Smash from Bet the House, and I started working with um Meet the Tylers, and and started getting into that community, and then you know and then that's when I met my TDs from Pillow Talk to T, and grown ass folk, and we started just you know and met my brother RSA, of course, and then we went off, started doing our shit. um, Lingo, and we just and and of course and Forecast and Uncle Dynamite, and you start meeting these people, then just random podcasters start to find me, and J Squad Podcast and all them, and then of course I would eventually start to like work with WV Uncommon Place and all these fucking podcasts, and then of course Pat was like, hey, you like to do sports, you know there's a guy that I talked to. His name is Juan. He lives in he lives in the West Coast. I think you should definitely do sports. And one night hit Juan up. We talked and we created Jack's Wild. like instant chemistry. We just knew this works. And we started doing Jack's Wild. And then me and RC was like, yo, we had like two interviews we did together. And he interviewed me, I interviewed him, and then we was like, man, we should probably do a fucking podcast together. And it took a minute, but then we finally did it. And then creating, man, top 10 lists with my family, which was really what it was. Um, music impacted my life, and it transformed into the top 10 list, which I still do. Now I just do it on my own. But um, I remember doing the first one with them, and it was just about rappers. And I posted a clip just recently of it. It was the first clip I posted just to like get back into like the rhythm of it and seeing everything. And it was the first clip I posted. It was the first top 10 list I did. That night is unmatched. Like to see everybody face light up to like holy shit to the next year. One night I had damn near every single person I had ever worked with at that time in my career um jump on and do that. Like it was a hard ass room to control. I'm not gonna say it and act like it wasn't. It was it was a difficult ass room to control, man. But man, I never that was fun. Even the night that it was like right before New Year's, and um, I think it was like before 2021. I want to say it ended, and like right before 2022. We did another top 10 list before we closed it out. It was like the top 10 of 2021, some shit like that, and it was just the four original people I did that with. Like it was the first four I did that top 10 list with, and like just showing my gratitude and my love for them on that night. And that might be one of the episodes I dropped, one of the clips I have to go back and watch and find out. And yeah, midway through all of that working, man, you find out, you start working with and get to, working with, my guy DC, with the shit and Chris, bird's eye view and just working with them, and then you get opportunities. You get opportunities like interviewing artists and you know authors and you know motivational speakers and stuff, and shout out to Kick Up Your Heels Entertainment. And you get that opportunity. You working with these artists, and you're talking to these interviewing these artists, and you're like, yo, I should not be like this. Some fly on the wall shit. Like to have these conversations, you get to ask these artists like questions about artists they've worked with. I remember doing one of the Under Success interviews with my guy Law, and to hear him speak on how was it working with Amy Winehouse, and I could ask him the questions, and to get that energy, it's like, wow, this is pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? This is pretty fucking cool. You know what I'm saying? So it's shit like that, man. This podcast, man, is tucking me very far. Like not just in the podcast world, but in life. I was shy as fuck when I started. I'm gonna be honest, man. I was shy as a motherfucker when I started this podcast. I have never been more alive. It felt like I found a purpose than when I do my podcast. It's been 4 years. I'm closing in on 400 episodes. I did two tonight before I even did this episode. I got a couple more I gotta do this week, and I'm loving it. I say this all the time. I could have easily quit this shit. I could have stopped doing this, but I love it. I care. This is something that I rarely thought I ever do in my life, where I find something that is this passionate. And if I get money from it, great. But it's not the fucking main goal. My main goal is if you are listening, then I did something, man. Good or bad, man. I don't care if you write a bad comment on YouTube or fucking not, man. At the end of the day, man, you responded. That's it. I don't give a shit. You responded, man. Bad or not, I don't care. You responded. That means I said something of value or said something to make you feel some way enough to be like, nigga, fuck you. Nigga, fuck you. I don't like you. Fuck you. You ain't did shit. I said something. I said something. Because if you didn't give a fuck, you wouldn't have taken the time to even type in two letters. I said something. And as much as you don't want to admit it, you cared enough to stop and comment. You did. You could have completely kept going on with your life, not even thought about it. But instead, you stopped just to say, nigga, fuck you. Thank you. Even that. Fuck. Okay. Appreciate it. 4 years of this, man. And you can't even. 4 years of doing this, man. I, I truly, I truly think for 4 years of this, man, this ride that I've been in, I'm closing in on 400 episodes, and that's the next milestone. One day, I hope and I pray, and I really do hope and pray. And I might have missed some more people that I needed to thank on here and talk about the experiences and stuff. But those are just the people that came to mind, man. It's been so many, man. I've been fortunate in my life to work in these 4 years of this podcast, man. I've been fortunate to work with some amazing people. And yeah, sometimes we don't I don't even talk to them anymore like I used to and all that, and I get that. But y'all helped me build this, man, and that's all that I could ever ask is that I'm very grateful, I'm very appreciative, and I cannot thank y'all enough for even just telling me I had something. Potential is one thing. For people to see it in you and to actually agree that you got it is a whole nother fucking animal. So to those that have taken the time to tell me I had something, I want to thank you. I appreciate you, and I love you for that because that's all you need sometimes. Just someone to say, "Hey, you got something. Keep going." That's all I ask, and that's all we all ask in life. For somebody to just say, "Yo, you got something. Keep going." So I appreciate y'all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. For 4 years, I've been doing this. Sat on well, it's a new house now, so clearly it's a new house now. But same me, man. Um, I'm very appreciative to anything I get, man. I'm closing in on like 800 follows on Instagram. I'm over 100 on YouTube, which when I started this shit, I had nobody. I had maybe like two, and that was my sister and shit. That might have been it. Like my sister, my sister, and that's about it. Like I didn't have anybody on YouTube that was following me like that. And now I'm over 100, like over 120. Like that's crazy to sit there and even say I got over 120 followers on subscribers on YouTube. That's crazy, man. I'm getting on Instagram and I'm close to 800, followers. Like that's crazy. I'm looking forward to when I'm looking forward to next year, my 5 year anniversary. I have no idea what I'm gonna do with my 5 year anniversary. I have no clue. I'm be honest. I have no clue. But for these 4 years, man, thank y'all for letting me even get on here and say what I want to say. I appreciate it. If you've listened, if you have shared, if you have, commented, viewed, rated, whatever, man, if you have even told a friend and told a friend and told a friend, I don't thank you. my podcast has hit 4 years. Um, and for that, I'm forever grateful, man. Hopefully, I'll be here another 4, 10, 15, 20. Hopefully. Hopefully, by that time, I will have expanded it to another level. But until then, this is 4 years of the Brandon Janeau Show. I am Brandon Janeau. Thank you for listening, watching, subscribing, and let me grow. Appreciate you. Good night.